feels like someone kicks you down the mountain, you roll down, you're full of cuts, you're full of bruises, you're full of rocks, and you feel like you are starting from scratch. Whereas it is never the case where we're starting from scratch, because, we take those lessons, we move forward. And the inner journey is about enjoying it. Like, the tough times are, yes, they're painful, and embrace the pain. Being an entrepreneur, I believe, is the more success that you want is held in your ability to hold pain. The bigger your capacity to hold pain and rejection and not enoughness and failure and move through that, the more successful you'll become quicker.
Hello my loves, and welcome to Create Your Life. My name is Simone Leah and I am your host, and I am so excited to be here with you guys today, because today I had the absolute honor of interviewing Dana Kovacic, who is an intuitive business coach, about the amazing topic of navigating the internal shifts and allowing your business to evolve as you do. So this was a phenomenal interview today, because Dana has been a business coach for a long time, but now she's wanting to transition into more energy work and energy healing work. And as this is a recent transition for her, just over the last 12 months, I thought that she would be an amazing person to introduce to you guys, as someone who's literally gone from feeling like she needs to be completely structured in her business as a business coach to allowing energy healing and intuition in to guide her way. And her journey has had ups and downs, but since she really stepped into this role, she made something like $50,000 in the first 6 weeks of stepping in and really owning who she is. So allowing her business to evolve has actually really paid off for her, obviously on a physical level in terms of within her own self, but also with her finances. So this was a phenomenal interview. We talk about what could be going on for you as you're evolving, and how you can allow yourself to evolve and expand, and for your business to evolve and expand with you. She gives you the tips that she uses to allow herself to feel safe enough and to have the capacity to move in the new direction. She gives you the tips of what she does every day to connect in with herself and her mission, and to trust herself and her decisions more. Because when you are allowing your business to evolve as you do, there can be a lot of trust that's needed, because you might be like, this is not the norm, this is not what people tell me to do, I'm doing something outside of what's normal, and so there is a really big element of leaning in to the process and allowing yourself to evolve and allowing your business to come with you by trusting and surrendering to who you actually are and what you're actually here to do and your actual mission. So this was an amazing interview today. I know you guys are going to get so much out of it. I will say there is a point at the start of the episode where Dana's dogs start barking. I will edit out a little bit of that, but there's probably a couple of minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, where we just think that the dogs will stop, but they don't. So just know that the dogs don't bark for the entire episode. They do stop, and otherwise we do battle a few technical issues, as both of us are in storms at the moment. We live in different parts of Queensland, and both of us have got storms at the moment, so there is some times where the internet drops out. But for the most part, the team has edited that out for me so that it should be pretty seamless. But if you're wondering if the little cuts are there, that's just basically because the internet dropped out due to the storms. So this is a phenomenal interview. I know you guys are going to get so much out of it. I know you're going to love Dana. We didn't mention in the end when she's sharing her Instagram and Facebook that she also has a phenomenal podcast herself that you guys can check out. So I will link that as well. And I just really hope you guys enjoy this interview, because there's so much value in it from a physical perspective, like of physically the things you can do to physically be able to allow your business to evolve. Like, there's so much in here on a physical level. There's so much in here on a spiritual and emotional level. It's a phenomenal interview, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Hello, my loves, and welcome to Create Your Life. My name is Simone Leah, and I am your host. And I am so excited to be here with you guys today because today I have the absolute pleasure of interviewing Dana Kovacic, who is a phenomenal intuitive business coach. And we are going to be talking about how you can navigate the internal challenges as you evolve so that your business can evolve with you. So this is going to be a super cool interview. Welcome, Dana. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm so pumped to be here and absolutely love what you're doing.
Oh, thank you. I love what you're doing, which is why I'm like, you've got to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Before we dive in, let's start with the age-old question for the show, which is, what does creating a life you love look like to you?
Oh, I love this question. And my biggest belief is, creating a business around a life we love, not the other way. So it's about getting clear on what it is that we love to do and doing it. I like to keep it simple.
Totally agree, 100%. That is literally a nail on the head for me. I agree. So thank you for sharing. So let's dive into this. The reason, guys, that I wanted to interview Dana is because she's a business coach who's now really leaning into that intuitive side of herself and that energy healing side of herself as an energy healer as well. And sometimes when we're going through life, our business wants to evolve as we want to evolve, and understanding how to navigate something like business, which can be quite masculine, quite structured, quite you've got to do A, B, and C to get to D, and then trying to bring that into a business from an energy healing point of view and being like, oh, okay, well, maybe you need to clean up your vibration here. Your physical stuff's fine. So that's why I wanted to have this conversation with you, Dana. So do you want to give everyone a little bit of a background on your story when it comes to being a business coach, and then now also trying to bring in that, or not trying to bring in because you are bringing it in, but bringing in that energy healer side of you as well?
Of course, I love this question. So a little bit of a background on me. I'm originally a hair salon owner, and I was for 11 years. I just sold in this February. And during the big C, the COVID, I had the opportunity to talk to other salon owners that were going through a really challenging time. So that's where the birth of business coaching came in, because my coach said, Dana, you'd make a great business coach. And then I became one. And in the beginning, it was how I ran my business, very masculine, very do, very much so the hustle culture. Whilst loving what I did, it was just always felt like that push. Instead of being the flower that attracts the bee, I was always like on the hunt, on the prowl. So fast forward, it's been 4 years since I've been business coaching. So I was mainly doing consulting, mentoring for salon owners, and then decided recently to expand. And I've always had a gift of understanding business blueprints. I always used to just think, oh, it just came from my study, or I just know this. Yet I can visually see, like even right now, I visually see a path and a blue light, and that blue light will share with me someone's business blueprint and how to get there. And I just thought that was just normal, that all business coaches could do that. And I'm realizing now that is a special gift of mine, to help people through their business blueprint and to tap in more intuitively into my feminine side. So instead of focusing just on the doing, it's bringing more of that being, bringing more of that trust and faith, because as you know, like as a business owner, it can be quite scary sometimes to have full faith that things will work out. And during the last couple of years financially, it's been quite scary. Like even this year, I decided I don't only want to look after salon owners. And then from that, my dogs are getting excited in the background. I apologize. So when I decided to make the decision to shift away from just salon owners, I felt quite stuck because I didn't know what direction to go in, where was I heading. And at the time I had a monthly reoccurring revenue. So I had, clients that signed up for a month that were salon owners. And literally for 7 months, I think it was, I had no extra sales. So then I started to doubt myself. Am I a good business coach? Is this what I'm meant to be doing? So I found myself a job, and I was in that job for 6 months, and it was a sales job. So I thought, look, maybe it will give me some sales experience, and that was good to a point. It just burnt me out. I'm not meant to be chained to a desk and work 9 to 5 for someone. So I quit that job. I then self-doubted again. 2 months later, I got another job. Someone reached out to me, they headhunted me, and they offered me a job, and I thought, why not? I'll try this. That lasted 2 months. But the funny thing is, this is where my intuition kicked in. As soon as I said yes to that job, I hear in audio. And the song came on, which I haven't heard since I was about 10, of You're on a Road to Nowhere. And it kept playing in my head. And every time I'd wake up, as soon as I'd get to my computer, that would just go through my head. And I'm like, is it just a song in my head? Like, I still wouldn't tap into the belief that that's my intuition, that's my spirit guide sharing that with me. Until one day I was sitting at my desk, and it just was like something just came into me and like, what the fuck are you doing? Quit your job right now. You are not meant for this. So that was paying for my mortgage, which is like $4.5K a month. So that day I put my big girl pants on and I quit my job, not knowing where my next dollar is going to come from. And I saw a Facebook ad with my mentor, my now mentor, who was dressed as an alien, and she had a live event that was $49. I used my last $50 to go to that in-person event. That's faith for you. That's listen to intuition. And I signed up to the $10,000 program that she had. And in the first 6 weeks of doing that, I made 59K of sales.
Wow. See, that's phenomenal. That's like, congratulations, firstly.
Thank you.
But that's the power of listening to intuition and letting your business evolve as you do.
100%, because sometimes we can get caught up in the external, like I was. I'll go get a job. Like, what am I missing outside of me? And when I truly started listening to myself, my guides, now I'm like, hey, good morning, guides. I listen and I trust the next step. It's not about knowing the next 10 steps. It's about taking the first step in faith and knowing that it will work out, maybe not how you want it to, but how you need it to.
I literally love that. And that's one thing that I've said a lot in the last, I don't know, probably about a month. I feel there's been this big thing of having trust, surrender, and faith, because so many people, they want to see the top of the mountain. And I'm like, sometimes you just have to trust that you can't always see the top of the mountain. If you can see the next step, that's what you take. You know, you don't have to see that the top of the mountain is there to know that you're on the right hiking path. You know?
I love that. I love it because, you know, quite often, as you would know, business owners get so caught up in perfection and needing to know that bigger mountain picture and, you know, yes, have goals in place or have a, you know, it's important. I believe it's important to know what you want. It's not important to have exactly the next 10, 15, 20 steps mapped out step by step. I love the quote, imperfect progress beats perfect procrastination any day.
I literally love that too. I totally agree. I'm going to share this quickly, but I was talking to a guy and he'd taken 10 years to write one book. And I was like, you could have written 10 books, one a year, and you would be so much further ahead in your own skill set. Like just getting out there and doing it, you just expand so much more. Like, so yeah, take the imperfect action. You're never going to get something perfectly the way you want it. But what I also loved with what you were sharing is that you're human. You didn't listen to advice. You're like, I'm going to go get a job. And then you're like, that didn't work. I'm going to quit. And then you're like, to go get another job. You know, so you're human. Like,
yes,
it's not like I made the shift and it fell into place, because that's not how life works for everyone. You know, maybe some people are going to be like, they're going to make the shift and fall into place. But for most of us, there might be a little bit of an adjustment. There might be a little bit of, it's kind of like when you are climbing that mountain, you have those dips in life, but it's like, all right, I've climbed a mountain.
Yeah.
Come down a little bit, and then I'm going to go back up again and keep going, and that's how you get there. Like, so I love
Yeah.
just have that straight path.
There is absolutely no straight path being an entrepreneur, and sometimes it literally feels like someone kicks you down the mountain, you roll down, you're full of cuts, you're full of bruises, you're full of rocks, and you feel like you are starting from scratch. Whereas it is never the case where we're starting from scratch, because, we take those lessons, we move forward, and the inner journey is about enjoying it. Like, the tough times are, yes, they're painful, and embrace the pain. It's being an entrepreneur, I believe, is the more success that you want is held in your ability to hold pain. The bigger your capacity to hold pain and rejection and not enoughness and failure and move through that, the more successful you'll become quicker. So putting your big girl pants on and, being courageous and brave, the more courage you can tap into. Just like I shared before, like, I didn't know where my next dollar was going to come from, and I signed up to this program because I knew that this was everything was telling me sign up, and I did, and I believed it. So, if you believe you can, you're right. If you believe you can't, you're right.
Yeah, I literally love that. And I love both that, and I love that you mentioned the capacity to hold.
Yes.
Like, literally your capacity to hold. It's how you handle the problems when they're thrown at you. And if you can hold more of a capacity and just know that you've got this, like, just know, okay,
Yeah.
this is the thing that happened, but I have the capacity for this. I'm a freaking amazing entrepreneur. I'm good at what I do. And just believe and keep moving forward, that's what I took out of what you said, and I loved it.
Thank you. And I think it's so important. Like, I don't know about you, but I find in today's society, we're not taught to do that. We're taught to suppress our emotions. Big girls don't cry. Like, you've got to sit there and be quiet. You don't show up. We're taught all those things as a young age, a lot of us. And when it comes to then dealing with life, we are taught literally to expect someone to come save us. We are not taught to self-regulate, to work through our emotions, to hold that capacity and know that we are going to be okay. Oh, and I think that's one of the most important things as an entrepreneur, to know that no matter what, you're going to be okay. No matter if you have to close your business, you're still going to be okay. If your team leaves, you're still going to be okay. It might feel sucky, it might feel painful, but you as a human being are still going to be okay. And that's one of the biggest things. There's a book called Everything is Figure-Outable by Maria D. I forget her last name. And that really opened my eyes in terms of when I had a business, and especially when COVID was here. What is essentially my learning and summary of that book was, what is the worst thing that could happen? So, whenever I'm facing a situation like quitting my job or, potentially COVID, like losing the business, I sat with my partner and I said, what's the worst thing that could happen? And he said, losing the business. I said, that could be bad, but how about, like, we start with, we could die? Like, that's probably the worst thing that could happen right now. So every day that we weren't dead, we literally celebrated. We literally like, hey, the worst thing didn't happen today. And it just puts a different frame of mind.
I love that. I literally love that. Thank you for sharing and having that gratitude just for being alive, And one thing as well I noticed, which I think, for me, I've been playing a lot with the thought of set points. Everybody has their own energetic set point. And when you're thinking about what's the worst thing that can happen, one thing that's come up for me is, okay, well, I've never, ever put myself in a position to be homeless. So no matter what happens, I'm never going to be homeless. But there might be someone else whose set point is, I'm never going to have less than $1 million in my bank account. And that's a set point. And I think one thing that is important is, when you're looking at all of this sort of stuff, look back at your life and be like, my God, I've always been able to go to the supermarket and provide myself with food. I've always had a roof over my head. The worst thing that's likely to happen to me is just a little bit of discomfort for a couple of months, maybe, because my personal set point is roof over my head, food on my table, but I mean, as I said, someone else's set point might be completely different, but understanding that the worst thing that could happen to you from your own history and taking that as evidence is like, I'm probably just going to be like sad for a couple of months and doing a different thing, but it's going to be fine. Like, and I think that's important, like to look at that and go, you've always had yourself.
Yes, I love this. It's so important to self-reflect on what we've achieved so far in life, and also on set points, knowing that we can change and elevate that once we're consciously aware of the pattern. And that's something as an entrepreneur for my inner work has been really helpful in terms of money mindset and bringing more consciousness around that. Like my set point was defaulted at debt. Like, from how I grew up, it was like I used to spend money faster than I had it, and that was my normal. And in business, I learned not quickly, quite a hard, long way that, wow, I've actually got to save. I've got to put money in the bank. Like I've got ATO bills to pay. I've got super to pay. I've got staff to pay. And quite often I have run behind in business with that until I was consciously aware of the pattern. It's about seeing what in business and life is serving us, what is resourceful, and knowing that we can change that at any one time. And that's why having a mentor is so important, because they can see the areas that we're so blindfolded to.
Yeah. I love that you just said all of that, because that is exactly what this topic is today. It's like your business is evolving. You personally, that's why you're here, is because your business is currently going through an evolution of yourself. And
yes,
you had a set point of where your business was, and now you're like, you know what, I'm not just a business coach, I'm intuitive, I'm going to bring healing in. And so you're physically moving your set point. And so I think it's so important for the audience. You can move your set point, and, as you said, it can be in money. Your set point can be in relation to where you live. Your set point can be in relation to the type of relationships you attract. Having that self-awareness and that self-reflection, as you said, is like, that's what's going to move you forward and help you adjust that set point. So let's talk about some of the adjustments you've had to make in your evolution, because you've gone from being a business consultant and now a business coach, and now you're like, I'm going to bring energy healing in. And that's a shift, because there's obviously, potentially some doubts or fears, or what's come up for you in this process.
Oh, yes, so much fear, so much doubt, so much. Are people going to be thinking like I'm a freak, a weirdo? So much fear of rejection, so much fear and self-doubt of, is what I'm feeling, sensing, hearing normal? Is it me just making it up? Like all those thoughts came into my mind, and now fully knowing and embracing that this is a gift. I can see and hear my spirit guides. Like, to do 59K of sales in my hair salon, that took a team of 8. And now to do it by myself with, my spirit team, it's just been so wonderful to have that connection and to put it to the world. Literally, I've only done this week, so it's so great to bring this up. Is I was so resistant about bringing that side of me up. Like, I think it was December when I started playing with tarot cards a bit more, and I'm like, I took a photo of a tarot card, didn't do anything else. I just put it on a story, and that was scary enough. And now this week I took a video of me doing a full energy healing. So it was like a fast track video, and I shared that on my socials, and it was such a big deal for me because it meant to me embracing that side of me. And I've been calling myself an intuitive business coach all year since I decided not to be salon only coach. However, I was forgetting the intuitive part. So it was still quite logical. I started to be a little bit more feminine, but there was no intuition or energetics that I would share. With my clients, when I coached them, I would tap into my intuition and into my gifts. I would not talk about it. So it was just about fully embracing that, stepping into my fear. There's some clients that meditation is too woo-woo for them, right? So I had a chat with them personally and I said, look, this is the new direction I'm heading in. Let me know if this aligns with you. And literally both of them said, Dana, we really love how you respect our beliefs and our boundaries and know that you wouldn't push anything on us. And I said, amazing. So it's interesting though, because one of them's like, hey, I don't mind that meditation thing, what you've been doing, but can you change the language on it? So instead of saying the word universe, I'm going to say the word God. So it's been really cool that they're adapting as well.
Oh, I love that. And I love that all it was down to is just a little word change. Because some people like the word universe, some like creator, some like God, some like source.
Yes.
And, to me, and you're probably the same, everything is energy. I
Yes.
don't mind what other people call. I don't mind what other people's beliefs are because
Yes.
we're all just the same ball of love and energy anyway. So I
Yes.
love that she actually came to you and was like, can you just change this one word, please? Like, that's such an easy fix.
Yes. And from someone who was so against any, meditation was woo. It's now embracing different parts of herself. And like you said, like I would never push my personal beliefs. Any coach, a good coach will not push their personal beliefs, like we'll share insights. But it's so great that from my marketing, who's been, doing a bit of stalk on my Facebook and Instagram, that I'm bringing more in. And it's been really interesting to see my audience shift and change. So I've noticed that I do have a lot more people on my socials now that are into energetics, into the spiritual side. So my business, like I believe our business can only evolve as much as we do. So as I'm evolving, it's interesting to notice the shifts. I don't know what that exactly looks like.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we've lost volume. Wait 1 second, then repeat.
Am I
Are you
back?
back? Okay, repeat that last sentence. I was like, no.
It's storming. I feel like since making the shift and evolving myself into being my more authentic self, that I can show up more authentically on socials. And I truly believe that most people are showing up authentically as themselves online because they don't actually know who their authentic self is. So we're showing up online with different masks on, whether that's our people pleaser mask, whether that's I put my hand up, I put my professional mask on, I have to be logical, I have to be professional. And there's just such a different flow when we can allow ourselves to be just our core self. And it's a journey. I think it's going to be a lifelong journey, but the more we're able to tap into core, the more flow we'll have in life.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. I want to share a story about the power of the energetics behind this because I think it's a really interesting story for the audience. The audience knows I've been traveling for about the last 18 months, and for the last 4 weeks or so, I have not changed or done anything on Facebook. And about 10 days ago, I rewrote my I help statement to something that's more in line and more authentic for me. And it's what my guides channeled through, the words that I had to use that I don't really want to use, but they told me that I have to use these specific words. Literally, I have not written this on Facebook or any social media yet. I haven't done the switch. Since the day I wrote down the new I help statement, I get a minimum of 15 friend requests a day on Facebook.
Wow.
And I haven't even put it out to the public yet. So that's the power, guys, of really stepping into your authentic self. Because the second you do that, and what you're saying with the masks, like we've got the people please, we've got the good girl, the second you drop the masks and you just step into this is the embodiment of who I am and I'm just open to receive, you become magnetic. And I haven't even put that on social media yet. And I'm just like a magnet. Like people are just like stepping into my world. And I'm like, geez, Louise, like, and so that's what Dana is saying. Like, that's the power of just I should do this. I could do this. And just start being the embodiment of yourself and the whole world shifts.
Oh, Simone, that is absolutely amazing. And I love that what you've just shared in terms of once we tap into that and listen to our intuition, we become magnetic. It's, when we were talking about the external thing before, it's all, how can I get more clients? Like, I've got to do X, Y, Z, and strategy is important on one hand. What's more important is that we sit into our authentic self and we become the flower that attracts the bee. And you've literally just done that.
It's amazing, hey. And the I help statements, they always evolve as we do, but allowing that. And so for me, like, I would love to hear from you about, obviously you had this path that you were on, and now you're like, you know what, I'm taking off all the masks and I'm becoming my authentic self. And the shift from business to intuitive business, that can be a bit of a jump for you. Has the resistance come from you or the outside world? Like, have you been worried about, oh, everyone's going to judge me, which is an inside job, or have you been getting judgment? Because I feel that it's probably been an inside job. But talk to me about how that evolution of your business plan originally was like, I'm a business coach and I do business things. And now your business has evolved to different products, different services, different identity, different brand. How has that kind of worked?
Oh, this is such a juicy question. So I fully believe that all of us would have an inside job. So for me personally, it's been an inside job of self-doubt. Like, I had the doubt before I even shared. So it's not external because no one was judging me, and I was assuming the judgment, which I believe often happens. Like, we have these feelings or thoughts what people are going to think without having any facts, right? And it was the thought of feeling exposed. For me, I was feeling exposed. Like, if I share my real, genuine, true self and no one likes it, well, F word in there, it's going to be, I would have felt like a failure. I would have felt, and one of my biggest fears has been public shame. And when I exposed myself online the other day, like that was my underlying fear of public shame. Like, is people going to call me out, And I put that aside because that's my ego talking. So it's about differentiating, is that ego or is that me? If I was to say to myself, is this the right path? The first answer was yes. So I'm listening to that inner voice.
I love that. I literally love that. If someone else was going through a similar thing to you, what can they do to let go of some of that fear, let go of some of that shame, and develop that strength within themselves to listen to themselves?
That is such a great question. So the first thing would be to ask yourself, like, what do you want in life? Who do you want to be? And if you're not sure of that, because I sure as hell wasn't sure in the beginning, I was like, I just looked at my next step. So, as I was feeling confused about my business, I know what I didn't want. And this is kind of like jumping into the car and typing into the GPS, I'm not going to Sydney or I'm not going to Melbourne. You're going to jump in the car, you're going to drive around aimlessly, feel frustrated, burnt, and not know where to go. You're going to lack direction. So tapping into, okay, well, I don't want this. What is it that I want? Oh, I want a successful business. Fantastic. You've literally got your first breadcrumb. So my suggestion would be is to sit with that breadcrumb. Like, what does a successful business mean to you? And a lot of the times as humans, we create unrealistic rules around what success is. So getting a little bit geeky here, when we, set ourselves a goal of, okay, successful business, and the unconscious rules around that is it has to be perfect. I have to do this. I have to do that. We set ourselves up for failure. And what that means is that we are proving ourselves right by tapping into our RAS by, I want a successful business, but I'll never get it, but that's what I'm aiming for. So going back to the intuitive side is knowing what you want. Okay, a successful business, what does that mean? And creating a really simple, beautiful rule around that. So a successful business means I wake up in the morning and I love what I do. A successful business means I have one paying client. A successful business means that I'm making impact and I get to contribute through what I do. So that's one part of it, is setting up successful rules for business. And the other part is literally what we talked about before, is having that trust and that things will work out, not necessarily how we want them to, but how we need them to reach that destination.
I love all of that. Like, I really love all of that. But what happens if I'm in the throes of fear? Like, what happens if I'm currently in my anxiety attack and I'm freaking out and I'm like, I can't show up doing this?
Amazing. That is such a great question. So when we're in the crux of feeling the fear, it's about having and elevating your relationship with the fear. So instead of fear equals bad, fear equals moving away from. So as human beings, we'll do either two things at any one time, unconsciously or consciously. That's one, we'll move towards pleasure, or two, we'll move away from pain. And this is all about being able to sit in your pain, like we shared about before, and being aware. So let's just say we're sitting in fear. We are now the observer of our own life and our own emotions. And it's like, okay, what am I feeling right now? As an observer of my own self, what am I feeling right now? I'm feeling anger. I'm feeling sadness. I'm feeling so scared. Amazing. And sit with that, and learn to just be okay with that. The first realization of me doing that was when I was at a course at I'm a recovering people pleaser, and I did not know how to go in my everyday life. I did not know how to not smile. And even when I was communicating, I just was always smiling, even in serious things. And being a people pleaser is a big manipulation, because we are wanting others to not feel uncomfortable so that we don't have to feel uncomfortable. So that was my learning point of, okay, sitting in my own discomfort. I didn't smile for 2 days, which was hard, and I sat in tears for like 7 hours a day. And that's the work we need to do. So what's in the way is the way. So if you are feeling scared right now, that is normal, because jumping into the unknown is uncomfortable, and I call our uncomfortable zone our growth zone. So the more that you can have a relationship with your uncomfortable zone, if you were to make that mean, so at the moment, right now in your life, do you make it mean your comfortable zone? There's less pain in your comfortable zone and more pain in your uncomfortable zone. That's what a lot of people think. What would happen if you were to perceive more pain in staying in your comfort zone and staying small than jumping into your uncomfortable zone? And the more you can sit into this, so if you were to say in 7 years' time, my life will be exactly the same, I'll be the same person, does that light you up? If not, build your relationship with uncomfortable zone and step through the fear. The fear will not go away until you tap into courage, and you cannot have courage and fear at the same time.
I love this. And I love that you're saying build your relationship with this. I think
Yes.
it's like when we don't think of something as close to us, when something is unknown, it is scary. And if we can just go, you know what, I'm going to make friends with fear, I'm going to make friends with money, I'm going to make friends with abundance, I'm going to make friends with courage. You can think of it as something that's achievable. It's easy for you to be friends. Like, it's easy for you to be friends with something. Oh, hey, courage, how are you going today? Or hey, abundance, how are you going today? And if you can tap in and make that less scary, like, I have not thought ever to do that with fear or courage until you said it then. And I'm like, light bulbs, light bulbs. Like, I love that as a piece of advice, And like, yes, we all do, like, we all are hearing a lot now, sit in it, and that's coming up a lot. And I think a lot of people don't really understand what's involved in that process. And I think what you shared then is such a clear way to really sit in it and connect with it and make friends with it and acknowledge it and accept it so that it feels seen and heard, and then it can dissipate and go on to its own thing again. So you can go back to being on your mission.
100%. Yes.
So I literally love that. Now, if someone is like you and they're going through this evolution of their business, and I think this year has been an evolutionary year for a lot of people. I definitely don't think it's just you. It's definitely not just me. It's definitely not some of the other people we know. A lot of people are going through and evolving. What are some daily things that people can do to help them step into that and embody that new version of themselves?
Oh, I love this. Okay, so to help answer that, I will share some successful habits that have helped for me, because everyone will be different. So I just want to share that there is no cookie cutter response because each person will do things differently. What I teach my clients and what I do myself is that we set the intention every morning. So we wake up. So some people have their cup of coffee first. Whatever you want to do, is we set our intention. So I'm just looking at my whiteboard now. It's like I set the intention to X, Y, Z. I set the intention to make X amount of dollars. I set the intention. So I do what's called a magical script. And that literally means I'm externalizing with my voice, what do I want? So that's a really beautiful habit that has helped change my life over the last few months. Create, number one. Number two is create a CEO schedule of your life. So to create a thriving business around a life we love, we need to physically create the schedule of that. Like, what does that look like to you? So to build out a life you love, schedule it in your diary. So if you want to have a date night with your partner once a week, but you're not having that, schedule and prioritize that in your diary. If you want more self-care and more self-love, stop hustling and put that in your diary. So prioritize what you want in your life and put that in as your CEO schedule. And take action. So, some of the things that you don't do, what you don't want to do, and what you need to do to move the needle forward. So build your relationship with it. Every day, ask yourself, what do I need to do that I don't want to do? And just go do it. So they're the 3 top tips I would give to somebody.
I literally love that. They're all so great. And I personally love magical scripting myself. I think it's amazing. And I also do agree, like, you need to have a plan of where you're going. And, you can't get too caught up in, the timing and if it looks perfectly right. But at least if you know where you're going. Like, I literally loved your car analogy earlier where you're like, you don't want to go to Sydney. And so, like, at least if you have an idea of where you're going, you can head in the right direction. Like, you might be like, I want a life that looks like the life I have in Queensland. So, for example, guys, you might be like, I want a life that looks like going for a walk along the beach in the morning, doing X, Y, Z, but not necessarily getting so caught up on it has to be at this address. You might be able to get that life in Italy, and that's an even better option. Like, who knows? But you know what I mean? Like, it's about having that idea of where you're going and being able to plan that. And if it looks a little different, that's okay too, because it might be better different,
Yes, and I love that. And knowing that there's no wrong. There's no wrong in what you want. Just because you want it, sometimes there's a guilt or a shame associated with that. And I remember a quick story of when I went to Tony Robbins' one Tony Robbins event, and he said that his friend just bought a $3 million painting. And he was so stoked with it. And Tony Robbins went to go and look at it. And it was literally like a child had splashed paint on it. And it's not the point what anyone else thinks, as Tony Robbins was saying. It's this painting evoked an emotion in the buyer. Like, he just felt so good and it meant so much to him. So whether you want something that is 5 cents, like, I'm putting my hand up here for Christmas. I've put on the list to have a coffee machine. And I've never ever had one at home because as I was growing up, I came from generational poverty. I come from generational poverty. So aircon was a big one to get in the house for the first time. And now a coffee machine. And I thought to myself, wow, like it feels so special to get this, small coffee machine for Christmas because that means something to me. It's like, wow, like, it's breaking that belief. So whatever you want in life, number one, know what you are hiding from. Sometimes we have goals that we think are impossible. They're not, they're possible. So bring them to life and really sit into that and enjoy it. Like get rid of the guilt and shame around wanting it.
Yeah. I love this. Like, I just want to keep talking to you for another hour, but I know we have to wrap up because I've loved all of this so much. Is there any other advice or anything else you'd like to say to the people who are maybe on a journey of evolving and wanting to allow their business to go with them?
Your business will naturally evolve with you when you evolve. And if your current knowledge right now and the current way of being has got your business to the results that you have right now. So if you want different results, we first must be able to think differently. And I'll share a very quick model with you. So to get the results that we have, we must make an action or an inaction. To take an action, we must make a decision. To make a decision, we will feel an emotion usually around it. And then what sparks an emotion is a thought. So as we go up the thoughts to results model, if we're wanting different results, we need to take different action. We need to make different decisions. We need to feel differently or be able to sit into our fear. And then at the top is our thoughts. So we must be able to think differently. So our business can only evolve as much as we do. So what the beginning of that is our thoughts. So if I want something different, what do I need to be thinking differently? Who do I need to be? And a really quick tip on the beginning of this process is thinking, who is my future self? Who is my best self in 7 years' time, 10 years' time, or 5 years' time? And literally, what are they doing? Who are they being from the coffee? So I literally get my clients to buy their future self underwear and embody your future self as much as possible. And that is the first step to embodying who you need to be to get different results. So that's my last wisdom that I can give for that.
I love that. And I love that you're even like, buy the underwear that you are going to wear as that human. Because it's like when you feel good, you radiate differently and you do become magnetic. So embodying that within yourself of like, this underwear reminds me that I am who I am, but it's the future you, but it's still you, And so I love that because you're bringing the future to the now.
Yes.
I love that. So I just want to keep talking because there's so many things. But do you have a recommended resource that you would suggest people who are going on this journey? Like, maybe it's a Tony Robbins book or, is there any recommended resources you can think of for the audience today?
Recommended resources I'd recommend to help you get to where you want to be. So I will give a link to a free leadership profile. So that's a logical side which will share with you where are your strengths, where are your opportunities for growth, and then we'll be able to tap in on a free call, the energetic side of that. More than happy to give that. In terms of YouTube, there's so much. So I highly believe that hypnosis is a great way to reprogram our brain. So I recommend there's so many free resources on YouTube. I listen to money hypnosis free on YouTube 3 times a week. So I would recommend doing that and then finding a mentor that you align with that can help you with your blind spots, whether that's me, whether that's Simone, whether that's whoever that is finding someone who aligns with you that are able to take you to the next level.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. And we actually have a mentor in common. So yeah, like even our mentor is amazing. Now, if people want to find you, where can they find you?
www.danakovacic.com, and I'll share the link with you as well.
Amazing. And Instagram and Facebook?
Instagram, Dana Kovacic Coach, and Facebook is dana.kovacic.
Oh, amazing. Yay. Guys, go and check her out. She's making big waves, doing cool things. She's an awesome human. And as you guys can hear, she's business and energetics as well and healing. So that is definitely the thing that the audience loves. So yeah, I thank you so much for being here. It has just been an amazing, amazing interview. And I really hope that everyone takes the time to connect with you again.
Thank you so much for having me. What an honor.